Good afternoon to everyone. It is my pleasure to be here on this beautiful day. And we have so many special guests here today, but let me start by acknowledging what I believe has been an extraordinary public servant who's going to go down in the record books as doing more for the state's parks than any person in decades, our Commissioner Rose Harvey. Let's give her a round of applause. And to Peter Humphrey, who has done so much for the community in general, but what he has really done for Letchworth is going to go into the history books. What his family has done, he's the third generation Humphrey who is committed to Letchworth and the legacy of Letchworth. And this nature center would not have happened without his generosity, without his energy, and without his dedication. It will be here for years and years to come, and that is a beautiful legacy, not just for Peter, but for the entire Humphrey family and the community. Let's give him a round of applause, Peter Humphrey. We have the greatest New York friend of the parks, Lucy Rockefeller-Waletsky. Let's give her a round of applause. And we have from SUNY Geneseo, Denise Battles, who is a partner in this facility running classrooms and research. Denise Battles, let's give her a round of applause. I have been so looking forward to this event because normally I do very boring things as governor, running around, dealing with the legislature, which is always fun. I can say that because there are no members of the legislature here. But Senator Gallivan will be here. Oh, he is here. Now there's trouble. They told me he wasn't here. But this is just a fun and beautiful event, and it really goes to the essence of New York State. With your permission, I breached protocol on the speaking order. I'm going to speak, and then I have to depart. I just was informed on the way pulling into the park that we had an accident on the Tappan Zee Bridge. We're building a new Tappan Zee Bridge, and a crane apparently collapsed and fell across the bridge, and someone's trapped in the crane. So I'm going to go there forthwith. But I wanted to say this to you before I left. This is the greatest park in the United States of America. I do not say that as the arrogant New York governor. Well, I do say that as the arrogant New York governor, but it is also documented and true. USA Today did an extensive study and said this is the best park in the country. The parks are important for a number of reasons. We invested very heavily in the park system. The park system was deteriorating in this state, and it was embarrassing, frankly, the way it was. I grew up downstate near the Jones Beach State Park, and I was there with the commissioner a few weeks ago. And during my lifetime, I just saw a steady decline of the state parks. And going to Jones Beach, which is where my family went, it just got worse and worse and worse over the years. And it was virtually unusable at one point. And all the state parks had deteriorated. Why? Because the state government had financial issues, and the easiest place to cut money and to find savings was always state parks and defer maintenance, et cetera. That was a very short-sighted decision. We have done the exact opposite. We will invest $1 billion in the state parks by the year 2020. And I applaud Senator Gallivan and his colleagues in the legislature for making that decision, because it's exactly right. First of all, the parks are a tremendous economic engine for this state. We think of them as a luxury. They're not a luxury. They're first an economic engine. We've been working very, very hard to bring the economy back in upstate New York. The economy in downstate New York has done well for years, but Upstate New York, the economy's been a problem. And one of our main engines is tourism. We invested about $130 million in the I Love New York campaign. Remember the I Love New York campaign? You see the ads now. We invested $130 million in the advertising campaign. Tourism went up $8 billion, okay? We're bringing more and more people to the upstate, and one of the big engines is tourism, and one of the big engines within tourism are our parks. So investing in the parks is investing in the upstate economy, which is really unbelievable. Finger Lakes alone, the park economy, if you will, is just under $3 billion. 850,000 people come to this park. Just think of all the stops they make on the way in the restaurant business and the hotel business, etc. So it is a tremendous economic vehicle. And I'm more than comfortable to justify the state's investment because of the economics. The investment in this nature center, which is going to take this magnificent park and now make it a 4-season park, where we will have programs and activities that can bring people all year long, is a phenomenal economic engine for the state, and I'm proud of that. But it is more than that. I think even today, more than ever, the parks of this state are important for the soul. So much of society now is productivity and functionality in 24 hours, and you're on that device and you're looking down and you're getting texts and tweets all day long and you're working all the time, and the young generation has their face planted in a video screen. I think it's even more important to say there's more things to see than a computer screen. There are more things to see than a video screen. There are things that are more beautiful. There are things that are more nourishing for the soul and for the being and for the entire person. And there is nothing like coming back to Mother Nature and seeing the greatest artist at work and the greatest piece of artistry that has ever been done, which was not touched by a man or a woman's hand. So I think that is very important for our society, and that these facilities are top-notch, and they are places that you want to visit and you feel safe visiting and you want to bring your family. I also believe it is part of a larger responsibility that we have. There's a great Native American proverb that says, "We did not inherit the land from our parents. We are borrowing the land from our children." And one of our responsibilities as citizens, as parents, as stewards, is to give the next generation this state, this planet, in a way that is better than we found it. Not just to preserve, but to improve. And our state parks really are the essence of that. And this is a gift that we're going to pass down for generations. We'll enjoy it, but it's more for our children, and it's for our children's children. And our obligation, our responsibility for a life well lived is to give them this park system even better than our parents gave it to us. It's an honor to be at Letchworth today because you are taking the premier park in the country and you are making it even better. Peter Humphrey and his family in many ways are the perfect metaphor for that legacy and that responsibility. His grandfather, his father, and now Peter Humphrey have stepped up to make a difference and preserve this asset. And his grandfather gave it to his father, and his father gave it to Peter, and Peter will now give it to his grandchildren. And all of us follow that model in preserving this beautiful, beautiful part of America for the next generation. Thank you, congratulations, and God bless you.
So good morning, and that's a hard act to follow, eh? Should we just leave? Yeah. So welcome to New York State, best state park in America. Yeah, woo-hoo! And you know, it's only if you have the best state park in America with miles and miles, 17 miles of the Genesee River and major waterfalls and a forest like none other and gorge cliffs, true majesty, it's scary to build anything new in it, as beautiful as it is, because it has to reflect that majesty. But we needed a nature center here, and we needed a place to gather everybody, maybe to begin their journey outdoors or to end their journey indoors, to understand it all. But it had to have that same grandeur. And the Humphrey Nature Center has done it. It is magnificent, and it's beautiful. And each and every one of you, under the leadership of Peter Humphrey, and I'm going to talk about everybody here, have created this really spectacular nature center that will interpret and tell the stories of nature so we better understand. And the more we understand, the more we care, and the more we care, the more we can serve. So thank you very much. And it was a family affair. It was a community fair. It started from the ground up to make all of this work. And I'm just going to single out a few. But know that in singling out the few, I'm talking of the many that has made this happen. And you heard him, Governor Andrew Cuomo. He believes deeply in state parks, and he has big vision. And in 2012, he created New York Parks 2020, a close to $1 billion investment into our parks, all 215, to revitalize, to fix, to rebuild, and ultimately to transform for the next generation, to, as he said, to hand it down better to our children. And he's also not just about vision, he's about making it happen and implementing. Vision doesn't count unless you do it. And right here on the ground, we're seeing the results in Letchworth. And thank you so much, in spite of what he said about those state legislators. Thank you so much, Senator Patrick Gallivan. You're not only a champion of parks all throughout the Western District, extending all the way to Buffalo and all of you done, but right here in Letchworth, and you were right there making $90 million available, which is the backbone of Parks 2020. So thank you for everything that you do. And so the whole genesis of the Nature Center was a glimmer in everybody's eyes in 2011 when Governor Cuomo came in, but even the thought of it had started long before that. And Parks 2020, New York Parks 2020, is about, first and foremost, taking care of 40 years of neglect, as the governor said. You know, there was no real money ever invested in our parks, and it's one of the largest infrastructures and one of the largest parks in the country, park systems in the country. So we have already spent up to $10 million in Letchworth in things that you don't see, but I hope you'll appreciate, which is water, connecting the municipal water, the roads, the bridges, the culverts, the stonework along the way, connectivity. And you don't see it, but it's the platform for then building a nature center, what we can go forward. So we'd invested so much, and so we sat down with Peter Humphrey, we sat down with the Genesee State Park Commission, and we talked about what we could do. And Peter, with the State Park Commission and with the capital campaign, said, we're going to make 2.1 million available in private. We'll help you get a $1.1 million economic development grant from the state's Regional Economic Development Council, and then the state put up $3.5 million for a total of $6.75 million. And then the fundraising began, and everybody was involved. And it started with donors at our fair and pavers and write-in donations. And it was a public-private endeavor like none other. And in terms of Peter and his family, the governor talked about the history of this family. It's 100 years of service in stewarding Letchworth State Park. It started in 1910, his grandfather, his father, and then Peter with no breaks. It was really, it's a generation of stewardship from this amazing family. And so Peter wants to leave it even better for the next generation. And he retired from his bank. And I said, you think you worked hard at your bank? Just wait. And he says, well, it's a labor of love. And it's a love for all of you who are his partners in giving. So first and foremost, I want to thank Peter and Sally Humphrey and all of the Humphrey family. You all gave. You've all contributed all through these years. And we thank you so much for your generosity and then your work to get more. Lucy Rockefeller-Waletsky, chair of the New York State Councils of Park. Just here in Letchworth, she funded the first plan for a nature center. It was her idea. It was the genesis, and it's what began everything. And she also believed that our commission and our councils, they could fundraise, and we could do this, and it would be deeper if we all contributed together. So Lucy, she starts things or she finishes them, and she stands behind. And it's her ideas, her energy, her donations, substantial donations, and she's a chair, unbelievable, and thank you for this Letchworth Nature Center. And the Wendt Foundation, who stepped up mightily and who believed deeply in the nexus between preservation, conservation, and the community, and how we can join it all together. Thank you so much to Bob Cressy and also for the trustees that are here today. Thank you so much for your donation. And the Open Space Institute and New York, the Alliance for New York State Parks, and Eric Kulisade, who's at our side in all of our parks, and it's chaired by Lucy. And they were a vital team member to Peter's campaign committee. They raised hundreds of thousands of dollars. They were the applicant for the economic development grants. And this is one of many projects that they're making possible in state parks. Thank you so much. And the Natural Heritage Trust, which is a little behind-the-scenes, not-for-profit, public benefit corporation that works so closely with state parks that we never thank them for anything they do. But we're going to today, because this is just an example of the many things. Alan Payne, who's president, all of the staff are here today. Their purpose, their goal is to help raise money and manage private donations for state parks and the environment, and you all were awesome. So thank you. And Susan Herstein and her family, you started early. I don't know where Susan is. Right there. Hi. You started early. You've supported us. Your whole family gave. You got the ball rolling. And I know it's in support of your family. And I'm not going to pronounce it right, but the Guanlock? It works, thank you. Classroom and family, and I know you have a glimmer in your eye for another trail that will be coming, we hope soon. So thank you. And SUNY Geneseo President Denise Battles, thank you. It's a partnership extraordinaire. They've signed up for 5 years. They're giving mightily in dollars and equipment. They're building classroom. They're going to make this a center for their students to do more research in the field for us, with us. They will do environmental education for us. It is really, truly a wonderful partnership. Thank you for picking it up and keeping it going. The Letchworth staff, you're awesome. I only have one word for you. Everybody. Rich Parker, led by Rich Parker. He's led us in the most difficult of times. I'm going to cry too. And at our side, every part of this. And we thank you for your courage throughout all of this. And Roland and Dave Herring and Brian, our interpreter, thank you so much what you have done, your vision, your care, your concern, and what you will do with all the programs that you encourage, you teach, and all the children and all the people that come here. Thank you. Thank you very much. So the Humphrey Nature Center, it's created a model, a partnership that's going to be used all throughout our system. It's a hugely green nature center, solar panels, cistern for rainwater harvest, LED natural light, high efficiency air conditioning, radiant floor heat, you name it, we've got it. And it is really a model of energy efficiency. But it's also a model for interpretation. It's a model public-private partnership as we go forward. We now will go forward with 12 new nature centers all throughout the state modeled after this partnership, after this design. Well, thank you. And it's also a model in programming, beginning with SUNY. But we've had really active programming here, and we're going to double our programming right now that we have a place, again, for it to start, to end, to begin. And we're going to double our classes that we do. You're going to see programming and environmental education twice a day, 7 days a week here to introduce nature to all of the kids. And when I speak of kids, and I know I went much longer now that the governor is gone. I just want to say one more thing about the governor and what he's done, and I wish he was here, because you heard that he understands that our parks are our souls, and they are our future, and they're the future of a land ethic, environmental ethic, they're the future of our planet. And so this spring, he launched Connect Kids, and it's to connect more kids to the great outdoors, to the history at our historic sites, to active recreation. It's about building minds and muscles. It's about building a land ethic. It's about understanding our culture, where we came from. It's about being active, and it's about being healthy, and more kids are not coming to parks. That number is diminishing at the national parks, not so much here, but we want to increase it. So Connect Kids is all fourth graders this year are in for free, and their families are in free to all of our state parks, and we're in partnership with the National Park Service, so in all National Park Service. It was their initiative, and we followed and partnered, and we're very, very excited about it. And that has been made possible, again, from Lucy Waleski and the Metropolitan Foundation, the Long Island Foundation, who helped fund that. So thank you. Governor Cuomo's Connect Kids is free transportation grants to Title I schools, of high percentage of free lunch, children that may not have the opportunity, or schools that don't have the dollars to get their children to the Letchworth of the world. And so the grant applications are open now, started in July. We want all schools to apply, and we want to get as many kids here to take advantage of this nature center and all of our environmental programs. The third pillar is free Learn to Swim at 31 parks now. Every year we will teach about 15,000 children to swim. The free Learn to Swim is about 3,000 kids. And finally, the fourth pillar of Connect Kids is the governor's Excelsior Conservation Corps, built on the Civilian Conservation Corps, all that stonework that you see. It's a 10-month live in the parks for age 8 to 25, older youth, to teach them the skills, whether it's masonry or energy installations, and then they give back in the parks and are part of our workforce, and again, they breathe that fresh air. So thank you very, very much to each and every one of you. Every one of you contributed to this, and every one of you contribute to every one of our parks every day, even if you just use it and you introduce everybody to appreciate them. So with that, it's my great honor to introduce Senator Gallivan, who has helped us everywhere through these parks and always, and we really appreciate everything you've done, and particularly for the Humphrey Nature Center.
Well, thank you very much, Commissioner, and all of you for being here today and the role that you have played in the Humphrey Nature Center. This really is an exciting day. It's my honor to be here, and it's my honor to represent you in the State Senate and to represent America's best park. I have a beautiful district that I represent. I go largely south of Buffalo, south of Rochester, but I'm anchored in the center of this by Letchworth State Park, on the western end by Knox Farms State Park, and they've done wonderful things there under the commissioner, the regional director, Thomas. The governor's commitment to parks is really an incredible thing. Back in 2009, 2010, the state was having significant fiscal problems, and there was talks of closing the park. My very first year in the Senate, 2011, as we started moving into the budget process, people were speculating about the parks being closed. And one of the first votes, official actions that I had, and the first votes that I took in committee, at the time I was serving on the Parks and Tourism Committee, was to attend the confirmation hearings of Rose Harvey as the next Parks Commissioner, who was facing a daunting task, walking into a fiscally troubled state. Parks that, as the governor had mentioned, had been neglected, not so much because of the people that were working in the parks, but because of the state's fiscal problems. And of course, we had conversations about whether or not the commissioner was up for the task, and would she make a commitment to not close any park in New York State. And I've got to tell you, it was one of my first votes and one of my best votes, and I thank you for what you've done for our parks. You've done an incredible job. Very well. So America's best park. Really an incredible honor and incredible for all of us to be a part of it. We know that New York is home to some of the most exceptional examples of scenic beauty anywhere in the world. And Letchworth State Park, with its magnificent waterfalls, lush forests, is one of our state's greatest treasures. It spans more than 14,000 acres, as many as you know, endless opportunities for family fun, recreation, relaxation. Letchworth State Park has been a go-to destination for New Yorkers for decades, including my family. I came here as a child. My family made many, many friendships over the years. As a matter of fact, my sister, 30 or 40 years later, spent last week here, like she does every year, with the same group of friends that she met when she was a little girl. This park has something for everyone, from enjoying its natural wonders to its rich history to boundless activities like hiking, biking, tubing, and more. The state has made investing in and preserving this vital asset a top priority. And now, as you see right before your very eyes, the state's renewing its commitment to this magnificent gem once again. The public-private partnership that has made this nature center possible epitomizes the spirit of collaboration that we see across New York State. By bringing diverse sectors together with a common goal of stewardship and revitalization, we are creating something where everyone benefits. Thanks to the efforts of our regional partners, thanks to all of you. With this, we will continue to attract more visitors to Letchworth State Park, enhance their experience, and ensure that thousands of people come and see firsthand the unparalleled natural beauty of New York State. With that, you've heard about him, but I get the honor of introducing the man who worked especially hard to make this nature center a reality. Please welcome Peter Humphrey.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Wow, it's quite an honor to be here. I think you're giving me too much credit. As the governor stated, Commissioner Harvey stated, it's in the DNA. So it's just one of those things that you grow up with, and it's expected out of you to, my saying's a little different. My dad told me, leave the wood pile a little higher than you found it. And I think that's what we're doing here. But it's really, while I was very involved and enjoyed it, I'm glad it's here and we can move on. But it was really what I'm, okay. You've been talking to Susan Herstein, I think. Really, what I'm most proud about is the partnerships that we have developed, not only in the design, the construction, as well as the fundraising, but it's just so unique, and I'm really proud of the fact that hopefully this is a model for other regions to follow. Just, I don't want to bore you, but to give you a quick history, yes, this began, frankly, 6 years ago. Ray Gohl, former regional director, Rich Parker, current regional director, and I were brainstorming and said, you know what, we really need a nature center here. Lucy Waleski, I call her our patron saint. I talked to her at a state council meeting, and she was so generous and gave us our first contribution, first of many, I might add, to fund a feasibility study done by Jane Clark Shamaroff and Associates in 2010, completed in 2011, and it validated pretty much what we all knew, because Audubon Society had done a study, similar study back in the mid-'70s, said you really need a nature center, but as often is the case, we didn't have the funding. So back in 2011, we still didn't really have a whole lot of funding, but we just said, you know what, we really need to get this done. So we just took that leap of faith, met with the commissioner, met with other partners who I want to recognize, who've already been recognized, and just started brainstorming. And we put a team, our planning committee team together of professionals who parked their ego at the door. And I counted, Alan and Eric, that we had over almost 100 meetings or conference calls in the last 5 years. We have had 300 emails. You talk about, involvement, engagement, but ideas were flowing back and forth. We'd hit a roadblock. They'd say, well, let's figure it out, and we did, and here we are. I'm really proud of that partnership with the Planning Committee. I'm very proud of our partnership with SUNY Geneseo. Carol Long, I want to especially recognize. I met with her, golly, almost 4 years ago, I think, Carol, time flies, and she got it immediately. I said, Carol, how many times does a fine university like Geneseo have an opportunity to have a remote environmental education classroom in a world-class park? And she said, I'm in. Let's figure it out. And thank you, Carol. And now with Dr. Battles taking the helm at SUNY Geneseo, I was delighted when we met with her earlier this spring. She goes, oh, I've been to Letchworth. I love it. And she goes, guess what my background is? And I said, oh boy, what is that? She goes, it's geology. And I go, yes. Okay, we have a believer and a user, and it's just fantastic. And I am really excited about our partnership with Geneseo and how our joint programming evolves. We aren't quite sure where it's headed yet, but I'm sure it's headed for great levels, and we're really excited about that. I'm excited about our involvement with NHT, with Open Space Institute. I know I got people's attention early on in 2012 when my lovely wife Sally and I decided to donate our home in Warsaw, New York as the first major contribution. And it was like, you want to do what? And we said, no, it's just, if this is the way we get it started and show our commitment, then that's what we're going to do. And OSI took that on, sold the home, and the proceeds were part of the first key phase of our fundraising. Dr. Lucy Waleski jumped right in soon after that with a major contribution. The Wendt Foundation with Bob Cressy, and we were off and running. Then we got kind of crazy, and we said, well, gee, what about a CFA grant with Empire State Development? And they go, nobody's really ever done that before. And we said, why not? If this is not economic development, like our governor just stated, I don't know what is. So lo and behold, we get OSI, Lori Jean Moody, Eileen Larrabee, Eric, and others, and we dove into the CFA application process. I met with John Noble and others from the Finger Lakes Regional Economic Development, and they go, this is really good stuff. Well, it worked. We got major funding out of that source. So it's been a very collaborative effort, a great effort. And now to the fundraising, the grassroots. It really was a grassroots effort. Susan Herrnstein and her family were very, very generous, but and others, and I can't forget my family, the immediate family, but the greater Humphrey family. You guys were great, and I really appreciate your support. We wouldn't really be here today without that. Major, major generous contributions. And a lot of other very generous folks, too many to name here, but I would ask you, if you already haven't done it, to go in and enjoy the facility, but pay particular attention to the donor wall. This is our way of recognizing and thanking the many of donors who stepped up and really took that leap of faith, because we were blazing new territory. And, there were some doubters, which is to be expected, but there were a lot of believers. And here we are. We got it done. But, again, I want to thank everybody for being here today. It's a special day. I'm really proud, not just personally, but our family, but the parks community. Letchworth Park is like no other park. And we've taken a world-class park, and we hope have made it a little bit better, and look to have thousands and thousands of people walk through those doors, especially children, and enjoy it. Learn more about the park, learn more about the history, learn more about the environmental elements, and really walk away with a much greater experience. And I want to thank the park leadership, starting with obviously the governor, but our Commissioner Rose Harvey, Lucy, the State Council of Parks, Mark Thomas, our district director, Tom Allworth, who was deputy commissioner overseeing this project. But I really want to recognize our regional team, beginning with Rich Parker, our regional director. Rich has had some health issues, but didn't deter him for a second. Roland Beck, our park manager, has been there and really the guy behind the scenes making it happen. Dave Herring, who has since retired, our senior park engineer and capital, who's here today. I want to thank him. And Jeff Teeter, I know you're here somewhere. He's a little banged up, from the Dormitory Authority of New York State. This man lived in that trailer over there. I don't think he ever went home. He was here every day for over a year and was on every last detail. And without him working with our contractors, we wouldn't be here today. And lastly but not least, I want to thank our contractor team. And I don't have all of your names, I apologize, but I know that Nichter Construction and Chris and his team are here. DJ Beardsley, NJ Mechanical, and Thurston Dudek, and who am I missing, Rich? Scott Loft, and others and Display Dynamics, all the way from Dayton, Ohio. I know some of those principals drove all the way out here today. That's what makes this building come alive inside, was the exhibitry that was designed and fabricated and installed by Display Dynamics, Inc. So as you can see, a whole lot of people were involved. Yep, I'll take part of the credit, but I can only take a little part. This was a broad-based project that involved a lot of people. Our fundraising committee worked for well over 2 years and raised over $2.1 million. I'm proud to say, I think the number's more like $2.2 million today. And 1.2 of that is going to our permanent operating endowment so that we can operate this facility and not put further pressure on our operating funds, so that it will be here for years and years to come. And we staff it, equip it, and maintain it the way it should be. So with that, I just want to thank everybody for coming today. I want to thank everybody involved with the project. And it's time now to enjoy the fruits of our labor, and would invite you to join us, I believe, in our ribbon cutting ceremony.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you very much.
We're going to get a few people to step up, and I also just want to introduce Cindy Letro, who is the chair of the Niagara Commission. And also, Mark, thank you for being here, who oversaw it all. But it's this great symmetry between commissions, right? She was very, very instrumental in the fundraising as well. So please step up. We'll have a ribbon cutting, and come on right up. Right here, and Lucy.
You guys can step right here.
Okay. Okay, so we're gonna come take photos. We're gonna